Hello dear students, welcome to digital classes of biology sessions. Dear students, I am sure you people might have heard about people saying, oh, her hair color is like her mom, her nose is like her dad. You might have seen or heard about people talking on these lines. Actually, what are they referring to? Do you have any idea? They are talking about the qualities or the characters that are present in children which they have received it from their parents. So, whatever characters are there present in the children, that means these are there in the parents. So, from parents the transmission of characters has taken place and we call this as heredity. Then what is inheritance? We have learnt about heredity, then what is inheritance? How is it different? Sometimes you have heard about people saying her so and so character is like that of grandfather, grandmother. That means children can get the qualities, those characters which are not there directly in parents but are there in grandparents. That means there is transfer of characters from one generation to another generation, from again another generation to the next generation. This goes on. So the process in which these characters get transferred from one generation to next generation, this is called inheritance. Now dear students, you have understood so far that we get our qualities from our parents. So how are these actually characters transferred? Let us try to understand the process. You can see over here, this is the structure of cell. I am talking about animal cell here. So in the cell, we know what are cells, basic unit of life. So cells have in the center the control unit of the cell, which is nothing but nucleus. So what is this nucleus? What is it having inside? You have already learnt about this in your previous sessions and classes. So nucleus is covered by one nuclear membrane, which is a double layered membrane which is interrupted at different places. The cytoplasm in the nucleus we call it as, or the fluid inside the nucleus we call it as nucleoplasm. Then you have one distinct clear structure which is nucleolus, and then surrounding everywhere you can see over here there is thread like material. So nucleus has nuclear membrane which is interrupted, there is fluid nucleoplasm, there is distinct nucleolus and thread like structure inside, as you can see over here very clearly. Do you know what are those thread like structures called, dear students? We have already learned this. This is called as chromatin. It is chromatin material. That chromatin is nothing but it is genetic material. Chromatin is nothing but it is chromosomes that we are talking about. So if you look at the structure of chromosome, one chromosome, you can find it is having something like letter X over here with 2 arms up and 2 arms down. So here in the center you can see there is a small constriction and these are 2 arms above and 2 arms down. So one chromosome is having shape like this. Chromatin gets condensed, you get chromosomes. So dear students, actually this is the shape of chromosome. Previous slide I have shown it in this way, right? But actual shape of chromosome is like this, having a short arm which is over here labeled as P arm, then you have a small constriction over here, a break like thing, a depression, and then there is another long arm which is Q arm, right? So there are 2 arms, one long, one short, and there is a small constriction which is called as actually centromere. Whenever a cell divides, at that particular moment, chromosome over here, it actually splits longitudinally, it breaks longitudinally, divides longitudinally. At that particular moment, we find the chromosomes appearing like this. So one chromosome, when it longitudinally divides, so upper 2 parts you get 2 parts which are short arms, we call it as chromatids, they are sister chromatids, and down 2 chromatids over here, 2 long arms. Okay, now let's try to learn something about human chromosomes. The slide over here is actually the smear of human chromosomes. Do you know how many chromosomes are there present in our each and every cell of our body? I am sure you have already known the answer, you have learnt it earlier. We have 46 chromosomes. So let's look at another slide. These are 46 chromosomes. Dear students, 46 chromosomes means we get of these 46 chromosomes 23 chromosomes from father and 23 chromosomes from mother, making 46 chromosomes. So here you can see on this particular slide, you can find each chromosome having two colors, right? A set of chromosome over here. Here you can say this is one set of chromosome. We find here two chromosomes, same color. These two chromosomes, same color. These two chromosomes, same color. That means one we received from father and the other one we received from mother. If you are talking about the entire genetic material that is present in any human being, right, the total quantity of genetic material that is present in any human being, then we call it as genome. Now, what is this chromosome made up of? We understood that cell is a basic unit of life. Cell has nucleus, which is a control unit. Nucleus has chromatin, which is nothing but chromosome. What is this chromosome made up of? Chromosome, as you can see, it is made up of its small units called genes. So, when you try to take out chromosome and try to again go inside the structure of chromosome and study it, you will find it is nothing but made up of genes. Genes are present on chromosomes. What is again gene made up of? Gene is again made up of at molecular level nothing but DNA. So, about DNA we will study afterwards, but first let us try to understand gene. So, some 5 to 6 set of DNA molecules together forms one gene. So, what is a unit of chromosome? It is nothing but gene. So, gene is in turn made up of DNA. So, the unit of gene is DNA. Now, a little while ago I said that we have 46 chromosomes. So, 23 coming from father, 23 coming from mother. So, we actually can say that we are having 23 pairs of chromosome. Here you can see I have taken one as example over here. So, let us say that we are talking about first pair of chromosome. First pair of chromosome means, pair means there are two chromosomes. That means in these two chromosomes, one is from father, one is from mother. This is the first chromosome of 46 chromosomes. Then go to second pair of chromosome. Second pair of chromosomes, again two chromosomes are present, that is third chromosome and fourth chromosome. Again one from father, one from mother. So, paired chromosomes are homologous chromosomes. Paired chromosomes. Now, what are paired chromosomes? Chromosomes on which the same genes are present. That means, whatever genes are present on this particular chromosome, same genes are present even on this chromosome. So, if the same genes are present on any of the two chromosomes, those two chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. So, what are paired chromosomes, dear students? The chromosomes on which the genes are same. Any two chromosomes you take, the genes are same, identical, then they are paired chromosomes, and which means that one is from father and the other one is from mother. Again, another important part over here, of the 46 chromosomes, 44 chromosomes, that means making up 22 pairs of chromosomes, these are called as autosomes. Autosomes, which take care of all the characteristic of our body and the production of whatever secretion is needed or enzymes, they take care of everything. But the last pair, the 23rd chromosome, 23rd pair of chromosomes, that is 45th and 46th chromosome, they are called as sex chromosomes. So, first 22 pairs of chromosomes, they are called as autosomes, whereas the last pair of chromosomes, they are called as sex chromosomes or they are allosomes. Now, let us try to summarize whatever we have learned so far over here by taking one example. So, let us consider that this is one chromosome, this is one chromosome, two chromosomes, one from father, one from mother, right. So, here we have one gene. So, this chromosome is filled up with genes. Whatever genes are present here, you find this chromosome also having the same set of genes over here in the same order. So, here whatever gene is there, position is there, at the same location you find another gene over here on this chromosome, same gene, its partner over here. So, position of the gene is the same on two chromosomes. We call the position as locus. So, these are homologous chromosomes having genes at the same locus or loci. So, this is the meaning of the word homologous chromosomes and the genes present on it. Another important part of a gene, one gene is responsible for one character or trait or quality, whatever we refer about. For example, hair color, it is because of certain gene. Skin color, it is because of certain gene. Insulin production inside, it is because of certain gene. So, all the characteristic features that you talk about, or the working of any organism, it is all because of the genes that are present on these chromosomes. So one gene is responsible for one character. Now, do we mean to say that all the chromosomes that I referred to before, let me go back to previous slide over here, all the chromosomes that are present over here, will they have same genes, all of them? No, only homologous chromosomes have same genes, and we can actually arrange all these chromosomes in the descending order of size, from the largest size, chromosome size, to the smallest one. So chromosome number 1 being the largest, and chromosome last Y chromosome is the smallest one. Chromosome 1, it has got more than 3000 genes present in it, whereas Y chromosome has more than 230 genes present on it. So this is how you find different genes present on different chromosomes. Now, what are alleles? Just now I said that gene is actually responsible for character, right? We are having one gene over here on one chromosome and its partner on another chromosome at the same place. That means one gene is having two copies. One gene is having two copies. One of the copies is present on one chromosome, its copy is present on another chromosome. So these are the two copies of the same gene. So these two copies are actually called as alleles. Now alleles are otherwise also called as factors. Now if I am talking about homologous chromosomes, that is nothing but pair of chromosomes having the same genes. Now what about, let us try to see this particular picture which is displayed. This is one chromosome, this is another chromosome, the same pair. So here you have one allele, let us say this is one gene, gene A, and same gene A is present over here also. So how is the allele described over here, or it is displayed or showed? It is capital A. Its copy is also capital A over here. So these two alleles are same, the copies are same, they are identical. So if these alleles are same, we call it as homozygous alleles. Homozygous alleles. Look at this another gene. This B gene is another gene. What about both the copies over here? This is different copy which is showed over here using small letter case. This is shown over here using capital letter B. That means this gene is the same but copies are different. Two different copies of the same gene exist. So here we call these as heterozygous alleles. So again we can understand types of alleles over here much better, same thing. So look at this, there is a gene over here, this is one chromosome, its paired chromosome here, there is one allele over here that is present, that means this is a gene, its same position you find there is another gene over here on this same locus, but this is one copy, this is another copy. These two copies are same, so we call it as homozygous alleles. What about here? Same, gene is present here, gene is present here, two different chromosomes but paired chromosomes, homologous chromosomes. These two alleles, the copies of genes are different, so we call this as heterozygous alleles. Now let us try to understand the transmission of the characters, how it actually takes place, a bit of mechanism when it comes to human beings, right? Now one important part, dear students, see each and every cell of our body, when we talk about, definitely 46 chromosomes are present. Now let us say I am referring to neurons, nervous tissue. So in nervous tissue all the cells have 46 chromosomes, but whatever chromosome is needed, whatever genes are needed for proper functioning of brain, only that chromosome remains active there. Rest of the chromosomes become inactive. Similarly, let us talk about heart. Heart, each and every cell has 46 chromosomes. So chromosomes which are needed, or the genes that are needed for proper functioning of heart cells, those chromosomes with those genes become active. The rest of the chromosomes become inactive. It is like this all over the body. So 46 chromosomes, according to the need, necessity of the body, that particular chromosome with the set of genes become active. Let us talk about the transfer of these genes, how it happens, characters, how they are transferred through chromosomes in children. So we know that if you talk about sex cells are called as gametes, right? Male sex cell male gamete is sperm, female sex cell or female gamete is ova, right? So only these gametes or these sex cells have single set of chromosomes. That means any cell on our body is having 46 chromosomes, but the number of the chromosomes that is found only in sex cells, that is male gametes and female gametes, it is not 46, it is half of that, that is 23. So sperms have 23 chromosomes. Similarly here ova has 23 chromosomes. Now what happens because of fertilization? We know that what is fertilization? Fusion of the sperm with ova. This process is called fertilization. It takes place inside the female body, hence it is internal fertilization. Now because of this what happens? Slowly zygote is formed, zygote keeps on dividing, right? You get ball of cells which again develops, and finally we find a growing fetus, growing embryo, growing fetus. What about the number of the cells that are present here in this baby, in this growing child, in or growing fetus? 46 chromosomes are there. How is it that this child has received 46 chromosomes? Because sperms have 23 chromosomes, ova also has here 23 chromosomes. So 23 plus 23, it gives rise to 46 chromosomes. So the child has 46 chromosomes. That means all the cells of our body carry 46 chromosomes, but only the gamete cells have half of the chromosomes. It is because of a process called meiotic division. You have already learnt about this, because of which only haploid set of chromosomes, single set of chromosomes are present in sperms, single set of chromosomes are present here in ova. Their fertilization leads to zygote formation, which has 46 chromosomes. Hope you understood that why we have 46 chromosomes whereas the gametes have only 23. Dear students, I am sure you can identify this great scientist. You have already studied about him in your previous classes also. So he is none other than John Gregor Mendel. Who was this John Gregor Mendel? John Gregor Mendel was the founder of genetics. Whatever subject we are learning all about genes, chromosomes, this is all separate branch of science which is called as genetics. So he is considered as father of modern genetics. He was a pioneer who took up this subject. What did we learn in this particular session? We have learnt about what is heredity, how it is different from inheritance. We have also understood the difference between homologous and heterologous chromosomes. Then we have understood what is chromosome made up of, that is genes. Dear students, I am sure you will identify this great scientist. He is none other than John Gregor Mendel. Whatever we are today talking about genes, chromosomes, the transmission of characters, it is all because of the research done by this particular great scientist. He was actually an Austrian monk. He was also a teacher. He was a mathematician, but because of his passion, he did lot of experiments on pea plants. So he read thousands and thousands of pea plants, and whatever was his research which says how the characters are transmitted, he formulated everything in the form of nice research work, and he tried to publish that and present his lectures also. But unfortunately, whatever were his ideas, they were not received properly by people, and he did not get his due fame at that particular time. But later on, decades later, other scientists started working and then they thought, okay, whatever was done by Mendel, it was the same. Hence, his basic principles were rediscovered. He was a great scientist. Okay, dear students. Now, why did he choose actually Pisum sativum, which is the pea plant? It is because this particular plant actually can show clearly contrasting characters. So what are the contrasting characters we are talking about? Contrasting means opposite characters. So first thing, pea plant he chose because this particular plant is an annual plant. It completes its life cycle very quickly, number one. Second thing is that self-pollination is very easy. It can go on very easily over here. Third thing is that because of the presence of contrasting characters, the new plants which come in the next generation, they can be studied easily, and in huge number you can see the plants being developed. Because of all these reasons, he did research selecting this particular plant. So let us see what are those 7 contrasting characters. It is shown over here. So tall plant, its opposite is dwarf plant. if you are talking about the position of the flower, where it is on the plant, it can be axial, that is in the axil, or otherwise it can be terminal at the end of the stem or the branch. Then shape of the pod, it can be inflated, totally filled up, or it can be constricted, having breaks. In the pod you find the seeds. Then similarly we can have color of the pod, from outside covering of the seeds on top. All the seeds, I am sure you have seen pea, right? They all come in a pod in which they are all present, and then another covering. So this is called as pod. Then color of the seeds, round shape of the seeds. So these are all the 7 characters that he chose. Let us try to first understand structure of a flower. This is a bisexual flower. Now this bisexual flower is also called as complete flower. So flower is the reproductive part of a plant. What are the parts of a plant over here? Here you can see this is the thalamus, the base on which you find flower parts sitting, right? So first one is thalamus. Then surrounding thalamus you have green colored structures which are nothing but sepals. Then the beauty of any flower is because of the colored petals, which attracts even insects for pollination. And then you find over here, these are the male reproductive parts. These male reproductive parts, we call them as stamen. Stamen has filament for attachment, and on top it has got over here structures called anthers. Inside anther we have pollen sacs. Pollen grains are present, and those pollen grains are male gametes of flower. And then you have over here, there is one female reproductive part. This has got on top of it called as stigma, which receives pollen grains, then a tube like structure, style, and then towards the end ovary. Inside this ovary we find the female sex cells. So if you look at gametes, these are the male gametes and these are the female gametes of flower. So what is self-pollination, dear students? Self-pollination means we find that the pollen, here these are the pollen, the transfer of pollen from stamen to the stigma of the same flower, otherwise of the flower of the same plant. If it occurs, then we call it as self-pollination. So in self-pollination, from the same plants or the same flower, the pollen is transferred to the stigma. When you say cross-pollination, here there is transfer of pollen grains from one plant to the stigma which is present on another plant. That means flower is on another plant. That is called cross-pollination. Now because of this cross-pollination, what happens? You find that here you can see as depicted in the picture, pollen grains, they come and fall on this, then you find pollen tube being developed. The male nuclei, they travel through this, fertilization takes place. You have already learnt about double fertilization. Because of this fertilization, zygote is formed. Then slowly this flower turns into fruit. Inside fruit, seeds are present. We take these seeds and sow them and we get saplings. Again these saplings grow and you get plant. This is how the life cycle of plant continues. Now after having understood about the structure of bisexual flower, what is self-pollination, what is cross-pollination, let us try to connect it with Mendel's experiments and try to understand his whatever were his basic principles, what he has found out through his research. Now suppose if you are taking, let us talk about self-pollination, or for that matter even cross-pollination. If we are going to breed plants, which I have already shown, talked about yellow color seed, that means we are talking about here a pea plant, there is another pea plant, both pea plants, right? Here the color of the seed is yellow, here also the color of the seed is yellow. Two different plants which produces yellow seeds. If you are going to breed them, then the kind of the offsprings that we get over here, all of them will have yellow seeds only. So even if you go with self-pollination, yellow seeds with yellow seeds, or with cross-pollination, one plant having yellow seed and the other plant having yellow seed, we still get yellow colored seeds, plants which give you yellow colored seeds. Now what about green seeds with green seeds? Again, suppose we are having green seed plants, the pea whatever we eat, it is in green color. Green seeds with green seeds, right? Self-pollinate them or go with cross-pollination. You get the plants which are all the ones which produce green color seeds, right? So dear students, let us try to understand now what will happen if I try to cross one yellow color seed with a green color seed plant. one plant having yellow color seed and another one with green color seed. If I am going to go with breeding of these two different plants, they are differing in one character, that is in the color, then what will happen? So, such kind of breeding where we are talking about two plants which are differing in one character, then we get hybrid plants, and the difference is because of one character, then that becomes a monohybrid cross. Crossing of two plants differing in one character is called monohybrid cross. Let us see what we have learnt so far. In this session, we have learnt how heredity is different from inheritance. We have also learnt about the contribution of great scientists. We understood the difference between homologous and heterologous chromosomes. At the same time, difference between genes and alleles, and what is self-pollination and cross-pollination. We will continue with monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross in the next session. For better understanding and practice, you try to download worksheets from SCRT website, try to solve them, have discussion with your friends, and for any doubts ask your teachers. Thank you very much.